tell you that this is the first um, show or first talk that I've ever been invited to, other than like kiddie birthday parties, which I get a lot of invites for. so, thank you so much for having me.
I assume this is the first time we are talking, right? And face to face, we have ranted a lot
So
about
weird.
it, ranted a lot about a lot of stuff. But so nice to be able
Yeah,
to just see faces and talking. Yeah. Okay,
I
so
agree. I mean, we we walked by each other so many times, but we just never got to talking. I
yeah,
think it took COVID to unite into a.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
So I've been I'll be honest with you. I've been stalking your profiles a lot, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and everything. So it's fascinating journey, right? So I know I what I figured out is you have been in multiple places and multiple times, right? Uh, so
Yeah.
would you walk me through what was happening?
Uh-huh. What was happening just generally, just the journey through everywhere I worked, or like what's happening right now? Because what's happening right now is so intense.
Yeah. Yeah. Just walk me through whatever you were from your school, from whatever you have your memory to what we are now, and how would you describe that journey?
Okay, very interesting question. Uh, well, I think I was a very average student all my life. Like I was just average at everything, and I
Mhm.
was never like studious. I was very distracted all the time because I wanted to do drama, I wanted to do music, I wanted to do all of these things, and but my school was a convent school, so there was a lot of emphasis on studying, and there were times when I got shortlisted for a state level singing competition, but they didn't
Mhm.
let me go. They were like, the exams are coming, sorry.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
things like that. So I was always average at everything, never quite succeeding at music that I liked, or drama, or studies.
Yeah,
But and then I went to college, which is where music for me took off, which is where I found myself. I started doing a lot of a cappella, which is, for people who don't know, it's like pitch perfect, where you don't
Mhm.
use instruments and you do a lot of sounds with your throat and you create music together. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah.
discovered jazz, I discovered blues and all that. That was how I actually started my career, because I participated in this all India, like national level competition that Sprite was running at that time. It was called Sprite Till I Die. And the Coca-Cola company was organizing it, of course. And I got shortlisted as one of the finalists.
Mhm.
And the group of people that I was with, we won. And cut to next year, I was directing music for that campaign, and I was working with Salim
Wow.
Suleiman,
Oh.
who were the judges
Mhm. Mhm.
of season two. So, there are still videos of me on the internet. There's this final video that we did with Salim Suleiman. I hope it never sees the light of the day. I will never tell anyone where that video is. Good luck trying to find it. It's cringe, but yeah, but to me, realization that I don't want to be in the industry, because I love music. If I keep working in music, I will end up hating it because it becomes a job.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there are
yeah.
things that I'm good at,
Mhm.
because I don't want to do music. So what do I do? And when we used to work in the studio, there'd be ad agencies who'd be sitting with these music directors, and they'd always be like, "Oh, we're looking for a copy. Iska tagline kya dale ad ka," or whatever. And I was just young, I had nothing much else to do. So I was like, "Oh, why don't you try this or that?" So I realized that maybe I have a knack for content.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, what do I have to lose? I'm going to try and do content. Then I started working in a digital media agency, cut to a fashion magazine, cut to a health publication, cut to now technology. So I've been through all of those, from music to fashion to health, all over the place.
So it's very I don't think I would be able to do this because it would require me to be good at first whatever you are doing it content and then you are in health and then you are in tech, right? So
Yeah.
that experimentation, right? It requires a lot of what do you say, even courage to just say that okay, I am going to just change what I was doing tomorrow yesterday, and now tomorrow will be the
Yeah.
best time. So how do you be in that situation? What do you think in that situation when you're in?
Usually, because I have anxiety, I'm very averse to change or challenge. I would avoid it as
Mm-hmm.
much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
But it just so happened. Sorry about the kabaddi walas in the background, by the way. It's Sunday.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is the kabaddi wala day.
yeah.
So usually I'm like really I try and avoid challenge or unnecessary excitement in my life.
Mhm.
But I've been fortunate that wherever I moved on to, mainly because I was like, what do I have to lose? Now in my career, I think I'm a little more particular about what company I want to join or what industry I want to work for, because now I know what I like and what I don't like. So it wasn't
Yeah.
much of courage back then for me anyway. I think I was just confused and I wasn't sure then what I
Yeah.
really want to do with my life.
Mhm.
So I very happily experimented. And I think it's important for everyone to just make all the mistakes to experiment so you really, really know what you want to do. So it was it was like that. It was very simple for me. Um, but also content, I think it's just the field you're in where you have that choice. Like you're a super technical person, right?
Mhm.
Uh, do you think in the jobs that you do, does it vary vastly? Is there a lot of experimentation or change in the roles that you would ideally take up?
Not really, to be honest. So that is so if you are, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's suppose you are working for a football company, let's say,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Football company, you would be doing score prediction or who's
Yeah.
scoring goals and everything, right? So that would be my
Yeah.
job. So if you're changing one domain, let's say you are in health tech and then you go to fintech, that would be
Yeah.
going from under 19 football to
Mm.
adult football, right? So that is the
Yeah.
change, and you quickly adapt to it because the context is not very the see the framework or the basis on which everything is evolved is currently the same, right? For everything,
Mm.
it's just the
Yeah.
context that you change. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would put it at that way because
Change.
yeah, tech people don't won't go out of what their comfort zone is right now, and that is a problem for me. It's a problem.
So you like to push yourself constantly in every job.
I get bored a lot faster than anybody else in what
Yeah.
I do, right? So that is one thing. Yeah, Lakshmi. So you said about that you were in your school, right? Like
Yeah.
me, you were also very average, not well at everything. But if you would go back to your school time right now, that
Yeah.
you have a lot of context about life and everything, right? So what would you change now, or how would you behave right now?
That's a good question. I will definitely not study any more than I did in school.
Mhm.
I think studies, they're okay. The biggest realization that I had in my life was just beating myself up thinking I didn't get a 95. I didn't, if I got a 92, I thought I didn't get a 97 or somebody else. When you really, really live through it, you realize that marks don't really matter all that much.
Mhm.
you know, really in life, I guess it's a mix of luck, courage, hard work, bunch of things working together. But marks is really not the biggest contributor to success. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that. I think I would still be very average in my studies, not waste my time studying.
Mhm.
I think I would do more music. I would really experiment a lot more, do more drama,
Mhm.
uh, live a little more, and
Mhm.
not beat myself up. I wouldn't take myself so seriously, which I think I did as a young person, feeling like I'm not enough at this or that, or like not good looking or tall or thin
Mhm.
or uh, fair, or all these confusing messages, especially that girls get
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
when we're growing up. Is I can't believe I wasted my life applying malai to my face just because
yeah.
some auntie in my neighborhood said, "Oh my God, you're very savly. Maybe you should put some malai."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
malai would taste so yummy on a toast, and I am
yeah.
so
Yeah.
sad I didn't eat it. I had to put it in my face.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think I wouldn't. I would just live a little more
Mhm.
if I could go back.
Yeah, I mean, so it would be a story for everyone, right? So you know a lot
Yeah.
of context now. You know that studying won't really make what your parents said, right? Maybe whatever. It may make you a doctor or engineer, but it won't give you a happiness. What you think is happiness actually, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
that's one thing. Uh, Great. Okay, so tell me about this switch that happened once you were working, and then you decided, okay, I need to do college now. And then did your college, and then you came back to work. So what
You've
was
done
that?
good
Just,
research.
yeah.
I'm impressed with the research that you've put in. Really flattered. uh, well, I think I did my bachelor's, and I think the best decision I made was to start working and
Mm-hmm.
not immediately jump into my master's, my PhD, as a lot of people do. I have friends who studied with me in college, then they went and did their master's in psychology,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then when they were doing their PhD, they realized I hate psychology, and they quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend who is now studying law, like she's doing her bachelor's in law right
Yeah.
now at this age, because she realized that that's what she likes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a good decision for me, that I didn't jump into something, I didn't commit. I went out in the real world and I experimented and I tried, because what you study is so different from how the world works, right?
Yeah.
So that was the biggest change from working. When you work in startups, especially for a couple of years, you really burn out, and
Yeah.
I wanted to be a holiday, but like a productive holiday. Because I'm so
Mm-hmm.
self-critical, I'd be like, what are you doing? You're wasting time. What? How can you be on a
Yeah.
holiday for 6 months? That's crazy. I was like, no, I'll maybe study on the side. So I was studying. I also had a full-time job then. I was working remotely. That was a little crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but all in all, worth it. And now I'm considering doing another master's. There's a bee buzzing. Now I'm considering doing another master's in possibly psychology, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just a subject that I'm really passionate about,
Yeah, yeah.
purely for the fun of it. So
It's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's so important to sort of just do things for the love of it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
What
yeah,
about
so
you?
I really want to just indulge into conversation, right? Because right now, what people I have talked to, or what generally people are,
Yeah.
they won't tend to do multiple times a master's just for the just
Hmm.
for them to have that gratification, or that they don't regret that I like this, but I really didn't do that because, and I
Yeah.
don't know. Uh, how do you make that decision, because it's not very your family would approve, or even if your friend circles, or let's say a normal person who is your mentor would approve that you go and do this because you like it. And that is eventually the
Yeah.
hardest thing for anyone to battle, right? Because you know that you like it, and if you do it, it would be great for you because it would eventually bring happiness. That is because you thought this would be great. But the hardest battle you have to fight is convince everyone else around you that it's good for me, and
Yeah.
it would not hamper anything in life. So how do you make
Yeah.
that decision, that brave decision of doing these things?
So this is definitely like a big secret. My secret hack to life is, and I don't know how appropriate this is to share on a recorded like podcast, but when I shit every day, it's my
Mm-hmm.
me time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a long time. I'll be inside. Everyone knows that this is when she's talking to herself. I'm reflecting. I
Mm-hmm.
am running through ideas. It's when my brain really starts working. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I do is I do messages that you're consuming, the people that you meet, the interactions that you have. When I close myself inside that room, I'm trying to release those feelings and I'm trying to process it. So I
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
okay, why don't you give me 5 feeling words? What are you feeling? Then I'd say angry or sad or nervous or frustrated. And then I start breaking that down. Why do I feel angry? what could have
Mhm.
made me angry?
Mhm.
This is why I take so long. But
Mhm.
that when I break down things in that sense, I am actually spending time processing the things, all the information that I'm consuming. Otherwise, all you do is you just consume information and then you get distressed. Then to distract yourself, you go to social media and consume more information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you burn out, then you go to Netflix. When are you actually digesting that information? You need to do that. So I started doing this, and it's really helped me. I won't say it's changed my life and like it's this miracle, but it's definitely
Mhm.
made things a little easier where at least I know what I want, what I really, really,
Mhm.
really want. And that's been eye opening to just know what I want. And my family has been very supportive in that sense. I am treated like an adult where I can make any decisions that I want in my life.
Mhm.
I'm 27 years old. There's no
Yeah. Yeah.
pressure for me to get married or
Mhm.
any of that. All of that is up to me. I could marry, I could not marry, I could be with a man or a woman, anything at
Yeah.
all. Even career wise, they've been like, I mean, you made all your decisions so far and you're doing well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you know better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I never listened to them, and it worked out, so they don't trouble me anymore. So, I just go with my feelings. And we're a very communicative family. We usually sit down and very emotional too. And I would say, this is my passion. I want
Yeah.
to study this because I feel for it and things like that. And it really works and they understand, so we just talk about things, nothing else. So I've never actually faced a challenge at all in making a switch or in deciding to study.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't interfere in my matters and they
Mhm.
respect that I know how to make my decisions.
Yeah. It's great to have. It's lucky to have that family just to be able to make them understand what you think, right? Because it's not really the case of a lot of Indian families like out there, right? So
True.
it's yeah. So one
True.
thing I that takeaway with all this was that you talked about consumption, right? So there are everyone out there is consuming a lot of things.
Yeah,
And once you are
that's
consuming
right.
on Netflix or Instagram, you're getting burnout and then you switch the platform. But in
Yeah,
that whole process, you're not getting your own time. Own time just mean to think about what's
exactly.
going on, what needs to be done, and is it the
Yeah,
purpose that I need to serve, right? Uh,
yeah,
tell me
that's
about
right. Exactly.
T- tell me about this, right? So if you say that there is a lot of consumption happening, what do you think, right? The state of content or how content has evolved so that people used to read books, right? That was the major source of consumption when we were back in school. And
Right.
then it came to televisions. We were consuming news, maybe
Yeah,
shitty stories on news served as news that time, like aliens and everything. And then came back this era that is the OTT platforms, the content on demand. What do you think
yeah.
is has changed or has evolved? Like we have every day the consumption of shitty things or in other
Yeah.
platforms is increasing every day. So what is evolving every day? How the mental models of ourselves has been changing.
I think, firstly, the way that content has evolved in the last, I'd say maybe decade, is
Mhm.
that everyone has a platform to talk now.
Yeah.
So forget OTT platforms, social media. The most important part is all of us, every single person has a platform to talk.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there are platforms that are known especially for creating content, like an Amazon Prime or a Netflix, or there are so many others, Hotstar. Um, there's a lot of content right now, including shitty content.
Mhm.
Like I remember, I think my mom came running to me and told me last week that Rakhi Sawant said that Sushant Singh Rajput will be born as my son in his next life or something. And I just thought, I mean, isn't 2020 bad enough? Like, what is going on with people? And the media just laps it up. They love it. They're like, yes, say more ridiculous things. This is
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
this is gonna sell. Sorry. So that's the one big change. There is so much BS
Mhm.
in terms of content out there, and there's a lot of good content too. I really follow, when I started doing Instagram, I was getting very burnt out with the mixed messages that was coming. Kim Kardashian,
Yeah.
their family, all of these celebrities, Sara Ali Khan going to gym. Why are people torturing that poor girl? She's just going to the gym and coming back, but people are just outside clicking pictures and analyzing that and saying, oh, she looks bad in these pajamas or these
Yeah.
chappals are not going with her. Who cares, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
first thing that I did was I started filtering the content that I consume.
Mhm.
Blogged entire Bollywood, everyone blogged Hollywood, blogged any celebrity, diet pages, Fair
Yeah.
and Lovely,
Yeah.
all these. Then I started getting better content. So now the kind of content that I consume, I know for a fact that because of Instagram algorithm, it's a lot of psychologists, it's a lot of
Mhm.
body positive folks. It's good content. It's about marketing. Everyone's an expert in some way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad content out there. There's a lot of good content out there, and I think to answer your question, that's what's changed. Just the sheer load of information that is available,
Mhm.
and but thankfully we have a choice. We can choose to consume what we want, and it's very very important that we do because it affects our psyche in ways we don't even realize.
Yeah. So one fair point to make is we can choose the content, but I would argue that ideally we have the ability to choose the content we have, right?
Sure.
But when you start consuming things, you're getting recommendations about consuming that. If you're consuming a bullshit, you are getting more bullshits.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
consuming. And I see. Uh, so this is on that. Even if you have the ability to choose, you won't be choosing because you're getting addicted to the shit that you were watching a day
Mm.
before, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is shaping and that is keeping you busy. That is keeping you busy in
Yeah.
the sense that you don't have to, what do you say? You don't have to, you don't have the time to just go back and sit and just say, okay, I'm done. Now I can have my time to just think back and
Mm.
reflect, right? And so that is also one key factor, right? When you are having this
Yeah.
much load of content there. So what do you think
Yes.
about it?
Yes. You're right. I think bang on, Rohan. It's very addictive to consume that kind of content as well. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe some days, to be honest, I think even I am a little curious to know what's going on in Bollywood. Like I found out, I think all of the world found out, and I was the last person to realize Anushka and Virat are expecting a baby. Not that it's anything that changes
Yeah,
my life, but it's just that. And I was like, wow, how separated am I from all these things?
yeah,
Everyone knew, and they were like, "What? Tujhe nahi pata? It's all over the
mm,
news." And I'm like, I don't even consume news these days because it's so
yeah,
negative.
mm,
But you're right. The Instagram algorithm, in fact, all social media works to trick you to give you more and more of this, let's say, addictive, this the kind of content that is not necessarily beneficial to you, but is a hook.
yeah,
You hate it, but you want it. It's one of
mm,
those things.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, so it's tricky to sort of maneuver that and to make that decision that okay, I'm gonna unfollow this celebrity because I don't know, I end up comparing my life to this person and thinking I'm not doing enough. Why do I not have a swimming pool in my house or
yeah,
whatever?
yeah,
But I guess for every person there might be a point when they naturally start feeling like, yeah, I don't need to see this anymore.
mhm.
For me that came way early on. But I think everyone might naturally come to that point in life where they're like, I'm done. I don't want to know.
Maybe this comes back to how humans are built or how humans are designed to work, that they need
Yeah,
someone to be compared, and then they can
yeah,
see what I need to achieve that this person has, and then I need it, and
yes,
then only he can survive the longest race, right? Because this is a
absolutely.
holy shit 80 years you have to live, right? And you
Yeah,
need a purpose to live that 80 years or 80,
correct.
100 years.
And
Yeah.
you're right. It's like you said, your need for change when you said that I need to be constantly stimulated to be doing
Mm-hmm.
different things. I get bored quickly is evolution,
Mm-hmm.
because if we didn't evolve as as a Homo sapien of years ago, maybe um, we wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
You adapt to survive. So that's now it's an evolutionary instinct in us humans to constantly compare,
Mm-hmm.
because comparing makes you want to do better. It pushes you to do better, it pushes you to change and evolve. But then again, of course, you have to make that call that just because I get that, because evolution has that quality ingrained in me, doesn't mean I have to constantly compare myself. And really, I truly believe that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I get very self-critical, so I have to be very, very careful that I'm not following accounts or seeing people who unknowingly, not because of them, of course, it's my thing, where I might end up thinking, oh my God, this girl's my age, but she's the
Yeah.
CEO of a company.
Yeah.
What am
Yeah.
I doing wrong? Am I not doing enough? Am I not smart enough? Or, so you just have to remind yourself that it's a journey, and you have to
Hmm.
make sure that you're not letting those outside stories or forces tell you that you are not enough. So I think it's a constant battle every day.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are comparing yourself by a 27-year-old who just got a $1 billion funding and he runs a company, you would be comparing yourself to her, right? But you
Yeah.
won't compare yourself to a person who was just there. He doesn't have a shelter to just in the rains, so
Mm.
that and
Mm.
why don't we do that, right? That is something that we should be taking account of, right? I
Correct.
know this is the
Exactly.
ideal way of doing it, but we don't do it that way. Why do you think that
It,
happens?
again, it because I've just read up so much on it, and I
Mhm.
hope one day I will have like the psychology degree to say, I'm an expert and I will tell you why this happens. But till I get that, I can definitely tell you that I've read up so
Yeah.
much on these things, having experienced them myself. And again, I think it goes back to the evolutionary need to evolve. If we as human beings compare ourselves to people who are beneath us, um, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, we absolutely must. I think we should do that because it makes us more grateful for what we have. But our natural tendency is to only compare to people who have more than us, because you
Yeah.
focus on the negatives. You focus on, I don't have this, I need to get this. I don't have that, I need to get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of saying I have 4 meals a day,
Yeah.
I'm lucky. Why should I work anymore? I can just sit
Yeah.
at home, just stay in this position, get the same salary. I'm okay. खाना तो मिल रहा है. But
Mhm.
instead, we always focus on growth. How much more can I get? How much better can I get? So I think it's comparison itself is so many people say this is a product of evolution, but not necessarily good. You have to decide how competitive do you get. Like some people get so competitive that they would do anything to get ahead, including
Yeah.
crush other people, uh, get them out of their way. So I guess that's just it. You have to
Mhm.
know how competitive you want to get or how much you want to compare.
Awesome. Awesome. So one more point I just wanted to add to that conversation is, let's say, so what I really don't read a lot, to be honest. I hate reading because I have been following our Instagram pages and Twitter people that
Yeah,
say that you need to read
yeah,
10 books every year or 100 books every year. But I cannot.
yeah.
That's what I am. And I have just figured out that I am as it is, right? I cannot read.
And
So
that's
I
totally
just,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I was watching a video, right? And it was saying this thing that uh, humans are uh, killing humans, not in the sense of
Mm,
just killing humans, but humans are hating their own species just because they have created differentiation among themselves in terms of
mm,
religion, and then in terms of caste creed that is part of religion, in terms of nation,
correct.
nationality, and white races, right? So
Yeah.
when you see this happening, right? So my question is specifically a very open-ended thing, right? You can answer anything. But when you when is that point in someone's life that he stops thinking like I belong to this nation, I belong to this uh, race or this religion. I am just a human, and everyone else is also human, right? I think this comes as at someone's very late age, then he's just about to go on his deathbed because he has experienced everything and he knows the ultimate truth, right?
Correct, correct.
Yeah. So when is that point, do you think? Because it's very easy to talk everything like this, the things we are talking, right? When you start implementing it, it's very hard because
Very hard.
humans need someone to just get connected, right? They need some association with themselves that they can
Right.
associate. And if they don't have an association, even your Dwayne Johnson would feel very left out, and he won't be the
Yeah,
same person talking to a white man, right? If he doesn't
correct,
find an association like that. So,
correct.
what are your thoughts on this?
Such an interesting question. Um, like you said, when does that point come in people's lives? I think sadly, that point in some cases never comes. Like I have relatives, I have grandparents who, I guess, passed thinking they were superior to another caste or
Yeah.
their religion was
Yeah.
better. I I think maybe upbringing has a lot to do the conditioning that you. So I don't go to. When I was little, I never went to a temple.
Hmm.
And as I was growing up, because I was in a convent school, I started going to the church so often. We had a church in the school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut to college when I had a lot of Sikh friends, so I'd go to the Gurudwara.
Mhm.
And every time there's Eid, my neighbors would come give me sevaiya and all that.
Mhm.
So I actually grew up in a very manner,
Mhm.
knowing that it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
what religion you are, because all of them. And I was lucky to have been a part of all those festivals and all those cultures. But you're right, it happens a lot. And I think it's, again, it's the need to connect that makes you want to focus on certain things. Like I'm from Kerala originally, but I
Mhm.
grew up in Delhi, so there's not a lot of Mallu inside me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yet, if I go to a party where I don't know anyone, but I
Mhm.
see one person talking in Malayalam, my heart sort of gets warm for some reason. I'm like, oh, this is familiar. This feels like home. And the chances are that I, walk up to you and start a conversation because we're looking for a point to connect.
Yeah.
And I will, but when you're on both sides, meaning somebody who's a part of a majority, like on
Mhm.
paper, I'm a Hindu. So
Mhm.
I've never faced discrimination in my life. Things are very easy for me. But as I started working in a multicultural environment, I started traveling, I
Mhm.
realized that us, like brown people, are the minority. And the
Mhm.
world believes that if you're white, you're superior, or if you're
Yeah.
this, you're superior. People act like that. People discriminate against you if you can't speak good English, or if you don't, you're not wearing fancy clothes, etc., etc. So many ways to discriminate against people. Then it hit me. I was like, hold on, I just live my life thinking everything's good, the entire world, everyone's nice to you, nobody cares about all these things. But when you get discriminated against the first time, you get treated like you're inferior to
Yeah.
someone, because not because of your character or because of who you are as a person, but because your skin is brown,
Yeah.
or you're not rich enough, or
Mhm.
whatever. you know I think that was eye-opening for me. And that is when I realized what it meant to be on the other side as somebody who's
Mhm.
discriminated against.
Mhm.
And I think that's what opened my eyes more to the point that now I make sure that even if I have a conscious bias
Yeah.
against a religion, because you grow up thinking certain things, right?
Yeah.
I would still consciously make sure that I'm not thinking that way. I would correct myself every time I
Mhm.
assume something about a person,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Uh, yeah, but
Exactly.
you're right. So many people basically spend their entire lives never reaching that point of realization. Some people do.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some people, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I
I,
think. What do you think?
I, my thinking, I really didn't want to touch this topic of religion, but now we are talking about it. Let's just open this up. So my thinking right now is, see, everyone needs to have their own meaning of what they need to do here, right?
Yeah.
So that could be your ultimate truth, whatever you find out. So you want to know what is that feeling, but if you're chasing it, you
Yeah.
won't get it. You'll
Yeah.
find it out eventually in the process of the journey, because you don't have to look you. So one thing that is there with everyone is how our human minds are programmed is you go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on the 10th step you reach the destination,
Hmm.
right? That is how we are programmed, that you do your school, college, and your masters, and then you become a
Correct.
psychologist, you become an engineer, you become an architect, like that.
Yeah.
But when you are finding what you really need or what you want, the ultimate truth you have, it's not about that you have to climb these 10 Swarky series to get on the Swarg,
Yeah.
right? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's about the
Yeah.
journey. You'll eventually get to it, right? You don't even know when you found this out. Uh, my view on this is religion is basically a shortcut to the source of truth, because a group of people have made religion as that
Yeah.
whatever is written in these books are the source of truth, and
Yeah.
you don't have to waste your life realizing what is the truth or what is the
Hmm.
purpose of it. And that's how
Clever point.
religion was created. And once this once first Christianity came in, then you had other religions following that suit, so that whoever was see whoever is an association, right? And
Yeah.
if you invalidate the claims of that association, a majority or minority section of that association will be with you, and you'll form another
Hmm.
association. And that's how religion were
Hmm.
created. A major 4, 5, 6
Correct.
religions were created.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I really don't think religion is just an association that's a shortcut to what your purpose or what your eventual journey on life is. So I see
Yeah.
it that way. But yeah, it's very easy to speak, but it's very hard to just practice this, right? I still have some conscious bias to some people, but yeah, eventually when I just reflect back, I know I did something wrong, or I was wrong in what thinking that way. So
Yeah.
that's one way I was just exploring things. It's fascinating to just talk about us. It's just talk about humans, right? Because we are just
Yeah.
everyone's in it. Let's take some step back, and I forgot to just remind everyone that you are also global content manager at some company, right? And and
Right.
if you are managing content, right? You have this
Yeah.
7 or years of experience. How would you describe what has changed from the starting day, first day of your office, and now that we are talking right now, the Friday, just before this?
So, in terms of what has changed, would you mean how I've changed, or how the culture has changed, or how like the working environment in general has changed? What would you like to know about?
Uh, like how content has changed and how you have adapted to it, and how you have seen
Yeah.
this change happening, right?
Sure. So I think I'll tell you this. Earlier, only the elite, the upper echelon of the society was
Mhm.
on social media, was on. So when you were creating content, it was
Mhm.
only meant for those people,
Yeah.
and that meant using a lot of jargon, using a lot of big words, and it was all about how sassy and how fluffy can your language be. The more
Mhm.
you fluff it up with big words, the better the product would look. People be like, oh wow, this seems like a good, they're using big words, must be a big brand.
Mhm.
But you understand, since Geo kicked in, everyone has a mobile phone. Everyone has access to internet.
Yeah.
And so in the market changing, in the way that brands are now reaching consumers, a major portion of that has turned online. You can reach pretty much anyone, even in remote villages,
Yeah.
on their phones. So the messaging has changed. I think it's become a little more simple. I think it's become a little more. Brands now want to talk about, talk straight to tier two cities and
Yeah.
remote villages when they're drafting their messages. They want to keep it simple
Mm-hmm.
because middle class is the strongest and the biggest chunk of the society here in India. Middle
Yeah.
class runs the country. So you have to make sure that you're targeting, no matter what your product is, to the middle class.
Yeah.
So you've simplified it, less jargons, less taglines. Uh, it's become more simple. I think that's it. Brands are trying to keep it more and more real. They're
Yeah.
trying because people are tired. Yeah, we get sales pitches so much. Like I mean, Tide, Ariel, I don't know, Surf Excel. Yellow kapda, and then that detergent goes like this, and then suddenly there's like that
Mm-hmm.
white patch, and like
Yeah.
we, I think all of that isn't working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like Sonakshi Sinha breaking into the house and saying, "Kya आपके list में
This
नमक
is
है?"
enough.
So I think I think things are changing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think communication is becoming slightly more simpler. And, now brands are really considering everyone in the society,
Mm-hmm.
more or less,
Mm-hmm.
because people have power. People have power today.
Yeah. The content has democratized in a way.
Yes,
Do you think so? And
I certainly.
and there is one I am fascinated by this topic, right? So if you look at a large portion of brands, let's say a Uber or a Google or a Amazon, their content, and you
Right.
just look at a single person who is posting a content. Let's say he has a 10,000 follower and Uber has a 1 million followers. The
Hmm.
engagement this Uber content would have would be much lesser than what this person, just a 10K user followers, would have.
True.
And why do you think so?
True. Because people want to connect.
Mhm.
I mean, I just see it in the way that when I run social media too, I realize that people don't want to follow brands because it doesn't feel personal,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, you know that they're selling something. you know so the connect is lesser because you constantly feel like they have an end goal. No matter what they say, they could make the nicest claims, but they want
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Unless it's a brand posting about a discount or something really
Mhm.
really significant. Otherwise people don't want to engage with usual ads and all that. But people, on the other hand, so many Instagram celebrities exist today. People want to connect to them because either they aspire to be like them,
Mhm.
or there are so many more people who are posting about their vulnerabilities now,
Yeah.
and that instantly clicks. If nobody wants to see a perfect life anymore, nobody does. They don't want to
Mhm.
see how many cars you have or how much gold you have. I think it touches more people when there's somebody like like a new mother going through, uh, depression, postpartum depression,
Yeah.
or somebody who's conventionally considered obese and being
Mhm.
shamed by the society, but she's fighting back and saying all bodies are beautiful,
Mhm.
or a tech expert who's not
Yeah.
working for a magazine or anything, but is a guy who has a lot of passion and is just sharing honest reviews on things. People want honesty. I think honesty sells,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it connects instantly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point, right? I have seen this also in my view, because the last 5, 6 years has been about a lot of people who are just being themselves. Like if you
Right.
see your YouTube, you have individual creators coming up that with 20
Yeah.
million followers. Earlier, it used to be PewDiePie, who was an elite kind of what you say in that way.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
that is a true example of what you were just defining in this conversation. Okay. Now, so coming to this topic again, now I see this videos being more consumed as a content rather than a text that was used to be the main content we used to
Yeah.
talk about, like marketing and everything. So why do you think people prefer video much more than text? Even if you have to just read a 2 minutes article and you would be knowing the same thing, then watching a 10 minutes video, right? people would still prefer to watch that 10-minute videos. So why
Yeah,
do you think
for
that
sure.
that's happening?
Because it's easy content consumption. So, in the order of what people prefer as a marketer, you would realize there's text, there's
Mm-hmm.
images, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
video.
Mm-hmm.
At least
Yeah.
on an image, if you paste things, you still have to see it and know for yourself. But the video is basically delivering all the information in an easy to consume format. It's so you're putting in like zero effort. People
Mm-hmm.
are lazy today, people
Yeah.
are entitled, but people also have very little time. And there's so much content on the internet. Nobody wants to spend time reading an article at all if I could just watch a video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's just the ease of consumption that really makes videos, more popular.
Yeah. So is it also evident that the rise of platforms like TikTok, with being just shortest form of
Yeah,
videos being consumed and
right.
scaling so fast, right? And then you
Yep.
have a Twitter that is
Yeah.
stagnant in their user growth, whatever, right? They just have that audience, and either they are growing at
Correct.
a 5% or 1% every month. So it is also evident with that, right? The
Yeah.
platforms that coming up with videos and everything. Great. Okay. One more thing I wanted to highlight here, that videos are some. So if you are reading anything, you would need to read it first, then put it on your brain, and then consume it, and
Mm.
then analyze what was video.
Correct.
Video is just
Yeah.
about what you're consuming, and you don't have to even process it because you have been
Correct.
uh, you have the habit of consuming bullshits, that you don't have to process anything, and you can consume a normal video as well. You don't have to consume anything. So that's also there.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
It's there. Like
Hmm.
when I read a book, and a character walks in, this handsome guy, and the girl is just going to fall in love or whatever.
Mhm.
The author would be like a tall guy, broad shoulders, chiseled
Yeah.
jawbones or whatever, serious eyes, gray suit. So then while you're reading it, you have to put in the effort to
Yeah.
imagine this man,
Yeah.
right? Who is this
Yeah.
creature? But when it's a video, the guy literally walks in, you're looking at it. It's so you have to put in zero effort into it. You know, this is the guy. Okay,
Yeah.
he's good looking, and the girl's
Yeah.
gonna fall in love with this guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just the ease of consumption. And I think people are just spoiled these days. I am too. It's so easy to consume. The easier content gets, the less effort we want to put in
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah.
and the less we process information, the habit of us going back and having that me time would eventually reduce to zero. I see a lot of people getting no time to
Yes.
just think about what's going on. Great. Okay, so let's move from here. Now let's talk about money, right? Let's talk about money. What do you think about it? As a general concept of money, and how big part money plays in anyone's life.
Money, money, money. I love money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be shameless about it.
Yeah.
It's true that it can buy you a lot of things, and money is very important today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Everyone needs it for a certain kind of, we've all gotten used to certain luxuries, we've gotten used to a certain lifestyle, and just honestly speaking, money makes everything a little easier
Yeah.
in life. you know some people don't even have to follow rules. They can just bribe somebody and get done with everything. I know people who never need to take a driving test to get a license. You just have to pay money at the office and your license arrives at your house. So money does make things easier,
Mm-hmm.
but my biggest motto in life is everything in moderation, which means at no point will I blindly keep working for money. I will always consider how much am I putting in for this money. Am I
Mm-hmm.
working in a job for 18 hours where I come back home, I don't have time for my family, I'm getting sick, I'm depressed, I'm getting unhealthy because I don't have time for exercise or anything else, then
Yeah.
no, that money is not worth it. Right? I think
Great. Great.
it's a it has to be a balance. It has to be a
Mm-hmm.
fair trade where you have to know yourself and know this is how far I'm willing to go for money,
Yeah.
and therefore I accept that maybe I will not be I don't know, Steve Jobs,
Yeah.
but that's fine. He has a
Mm-hmm.
different life and I want different things in my life.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
but money is nice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Yeah.
there is a
So
taboo attached in the society about money, right? It's a evil thing
yeah,
like that. But
yeah,
I really want to just be open because everyone in their mind they need money, right? And it has
yeah,
to be we need to start having conversation around money that it's very essential. Money buys
yes,
you a lot of things like you told, and one of the key thing that it buys is it buys you freedom to do a lot of things.
sure.
It's freedom to
That's
just
right.
explore yourself
Yeah.
and things like that. And yeah, so one just incident I just wanted to share with you with driving
That's a good
licenses.
take though. Yeah.
Driving, I I recently took this driving test in Vasant Vihar. I failed
Did you
that.
really take the test though?
I really took it. I failed that test. I was offered that I pay 2,000 rupees. My father said
Yeah.
I would have paid it because
Hmm.
before the test, but I said no. I really don't want to look back at that and say that I have got license with 2,000 rupees something like that. But I failed it, and now I say that okay, it was fine to get to that 2,000 rupees and because it costed you more than 2,000 now. So money buys you a lot of things. Agreed, and yeah, and yeah, I mean, be shame. It's not about being shameful. It's about being vocal about money, right? You don't have to just keep it to
Right.
yourself that money is important.
Exactly.
Money is very important, right? And
Yeah.
you just speak out it.
Important.
I, I hate a lot of employers, every employer nowadays
Exactly.
that don't engage employees to just talk about money. Talk it about
Yes. In
and
fact, yeah, you're right. There is a taboo, and it's like, oh, how dare this guy or this person ask for a raise? This
mhm,
person's just after money. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure the company is also after money. When
Mhm.
you're telling somebody you won't pay them, even though that person's working just more and more each day, you're trying to save money. So it's the
Yeah,
same thing, right?
yeah.
But
And
yeah, you're right.
I'll show you a personal incident, right? So recently in my this company that I'm working for right now, they
Mhm.
offered me this raise. I had to ask for a raise, right? And then I had to ask for a raise, and then I needed to get. And they said, okay, we'll also promote you with that. So I said, okay. They called me in a cabin, right? I went there,
Yeah.
and they gave me this big lifafa, and they said, don't show it to anyone. Just go and put it in your bag. I said, what the fuck is this worth? Then what is this worth then if you cannot just
Right.
tell if you're
Show
not
it to
open
anyone.
to yeah if you're not open about anything, right? I would think that if people are open about what they are doing, it would create much better culture around the company,
100.
even in families. Even if families start talking about grades and how their kids are not improving in college school, there might be some other relative that would help them to succeed or help them with a certain subject that's not helping. But I really don't see that happening much often, even in employers
Yeah.
or even in relatives, right?
Yeah.
And that brings me to a point how much of a taboo we have created around money, right? It's so let's talk about if I had to talk about how much, so I share you an example. If you see in our office or in the offices as well, that
Yeah.
there are people when we have to post our income tax, whatever that
Right.
March or March returns, right?
Yeah.
People are going to print out whatever they are earning and then creating their income tax sheet, but they're not going to tell you how much they are
Yeah.
saving with taxes, right? So they are not open to talking about it. I don't think if I'm not talk, if I'm going to talk about mine how much I'm getting, you're not going to come and get out 20-30,000 from my monthly salary like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So have you faced any encounter like this where you said, okay, I was too open about money and this guy has taken it so weirdly or something?
I I think I think it is the Indian culture, the work culture here primarily, because I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of friends in the US. Even if you're working as, let's say, a janitor,
Mm-hmm.
when you interview for a job, which is, let's say, the level of a senior manager at a company, They don't ask you how much you were getting paid earlier. They never ask you your previous salary. Every position has a money associated with it. If you pass that interview, if you're qualified, you will get paid that much.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen in India. India, they will always, it doesn't matter. You could be the CEO of a company, but unfortunately, if your previous job was paying you 10K per month, even
Yeah.
as a CEO, you will maximum get 12K or 15,000, you know?
Yeah.
And what happens, that's the root of all issues, isn't it? Because in a company, there could be three senior managers working. All three senior managers might have different salaries. It's
Yeah.
unfair. And that's
Yeah.
why the company needs to hide it, because they
Yeah.
know that they're paying people unfairly.
Yeah.
One person's getting 15, another one's getting 20, the other one's getting 60,000,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So now the company is going to try, and they themselves don't want you to share, because if the other senior managers find out that I'm
Yeah.
doing the same amount of work, maybe more, but this
Mm-hmm.
guy is getting paid like 3 times that I am, of course it will be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's where it comes from. It's the work culture in this country that wants you to hide your salary, right? Because if
Yeah.
everyone found out, that kind of transparency will fire back, and it'll be a
Yeah.
problem for the company, not for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that goes back to how the employers have built us, or like how the employers want to make us feel, because it's about if you're going to tell the village, or if you're going to tell your toddler, whatever you have, that inside your
Yeah.
bed it's a monster, and if you feel,
Yeah.
or if you tell your word that it's if you go out you'll get killed out of your cage, and then it's feel like the cage is very safest place to be.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and employers have trained the employees to just think like don't share your salary kind of
Correct.
thing, right? That
Correct.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great,
That's such a
great,
good
great.
analogy. That's a good analogy of putting it. That's right. I think we make to think that it's safe for us to never share
Hmm.
what we are earning. And yet, you know, at the end of the day, that's all everyone's thinking about. You know,
Yeah.
oh, this person wears fancy clothes. Maybe this person gets paid more. Maybe
Yeah.
this person gets paid more. Or,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's all people are thinking of. The more you make it a taboo, the more people get obsessed about it. They can't think of
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know, that's sneaky.
Now, okay. So we talked about money. Now, if you have to choose between money, fame, and happiness is just a state of feeling that you are free. You don't have to worry about anything when you wake up, right? You don't have to worry about that. If I wake up, I have to do this. It's about
Yeah.
that. Maybe freedom or happiness. Which two would you choose? Money, fame, happiness, and let's say anonymity, right? You are anonymous, so no one knows you. Which two
Yeah.
would you choose? Would you choose, and why?
Uh, I choose. I would definitely not choose fame.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would choose maybe. It would definitely be freedom or happiness for me. Freedom, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because I personally got used to it. I've always had the freedom growing up to be what I want, to love who I want, to study what I want, and to become what I want. And it's precious. And I
Yeah.
think that with the freedom to choose and experiment and fail and succeed comes everything else. You'll be happy, because I think when you truly know who you are, what you're capable of, and what you want in life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
happiness naturally comes with it.
Yeah. Okay. So you
So
have to choose
what would
two
you pick?
things. You have to choose two things. You
Two.
chose freedom, and then you have to choose one thing more. Up. You have
I would go
money,
with money.
fame,
Yeah.
money and freedom.
Anonymity. Yeah, for sure. I think no, it's okay if a few people know me. It's nice,
Yeah. Yeah.
but not too many. I think I had a
Mm-hmm.
bad phase in college where, as a musician, I got college as a Delhi university is a very tight circle where
Mm-hmm.
all 5-6 lakh students know each other.
Yeah.
You know, the drama society people, the anyone who's remotely artsy is famous. So you have a whole thing where,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there are cliques, and people know what you do, what you wear, what you think, and it's a weird phase, because you can't find genuine friends. You don't know who wants to be with you for
Yeah.
whom you are as a person, or just because they want to be seen with you. Or so I think college was a um, very traumatic experience for me, and I just started withdrawing within myself, and I decided that I never want to be even remotely, like, even semi-famous in any way. I just want people uh, to be there for me or to like me for who I am as a person, and not for the money I have or how famous I am, or
Yeah.
or my looks or any of those things. That
Yeah.
fame, you
Yeah.
know, not fame. No fame for me.
Okay. So money and happiness or freedom, right?
What about you? I want to know what you think.
I would choose the same because money would buy me freedom, and once I have freedom, I can just go out and just see
That's clever.
what else all is there. So, I mean, it's it's okay. So let's talk about how do you view life in general, right? Whatever context you have right now, till 27 years you have been living here. What do you think about life? Or yeah, what it is, right? It is a very abstract topic, I know, but what do you
No,
think of it?
it's a loaded
Yeah.
question. I mean, it's very makes you think a lot. I
Yeah.
think. Um, I don't know how to answer that because it's such an on and off feeling for me.
Mhm.
My thoughts about life change every day. Some
Mhm.
days I just wake up feeling hopeful
Mhm.
and like my life has a meaning and I have a purpose and this is what I truly want to do. Cut to next day when I'm confused and depressed and I'm like, what's the point of anything?
Yeah.
Why am I just working myself to death, or
Mhm.
am I even happy?
Mhm.
So for me personally, I think life is just wow. That's so tough. I don't even know. Why don't you tell me? Maybe we'll make it easier. What is life to you?
Life. Okay, so I'll just start from because there are phases where you think life is simple and then you grow up and then have a lot more
Yeah,
context to it and then you think a
yeah,
different way. I so there has to be a meaning to for you to survive every day, right? And that meaning would change every day that as you're talking, right? Yeah, every day
yeah,
you will be thinking that now I have something different or I even don't have anything, and that is also one meaning that you have.
yeah,
It's very important to have that phase as well that you're okay saying you're okay saying that I don't have any meaning, right?
yeah,
And once you are okay with both these feelings, then you start to answer this question because it's not very just a single textbook answer that life is, right? It would be for me. It would be being happy with yourself for whatever you are doing and making people around you uh, happier. So that would be it. And when you're on your deathbed, you don't have any regrets. So
yes.
yeah,
Correct.
so
That
that
last
that
point.
that would be how I think about life. So till you don't purpose we are talking a lot about purpose, but it's very important to figure out everything that whatever you're
Yeah.
thinking today is what you are actually doing, right?
Mm.
And if
Yes.
you're not actually doing it, you won't be happy, right? And
Yeah.
life
So
life is very simple and we have made it very hard, very difficult, very complex
yeah.
would be the word. And it's very simple to live, but it's very complex to live that simple thing. So that
Yeah.
would be like I feel to me. Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah. That's. I think I really resonated with the regret part. I think I would
Mm-hmm.
agree to that one. That's one thing that I definitely think life for me is being true to myself,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I want to do, and being honest to other people also. Like not
Mm-hmm.
misleading anyone or hurting anyone. That's something I don't like to do at all. And
Mm-hmm.
just not having any regrets at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Even if I win or I lose or I'm rich or I'm poor, I just want to know that I did my best and I did what I wanted and I lived the way I wanted. That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So no regrets.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Okay. So once, let's say, today, do you have any regrets?
So there's a few around work,
Mhm.
but no, not. Rest of my life is actually pretty sorted. Yeah,
Right.
everything's always been. I try and keep it very simple and very open, upfront. with people about anything and everything, to the point that whenever somebody asks me, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Most of us say, oh, I'm good, how are you? I stopped doing that. I told everyone, look, don't ask me how I'm doing, because if you do, I'm going to be very honest about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm lying. I'm never going to
Yeah.
say, oh, I'm fine, everything's beautiful in my life. If it's
Yeah.
shit, it's shit. If I'm
Yeah.
struggling, I'm struggling. So when people ask me, they might not be ready for it. Maybe they just want to like go on with it. They say like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, nahi, ruko, let me tell you.
I have heard
And
this
then,
story, so I know I know this. So don't. And that's very true.
yeah.
And
So it's
yeah, if you live the truth every day, you don't have to just worry about anything else, right? And
exactly, you're
yeah,
simple, you're upfront,
yeah.
and I
So
just makes things simpler.
one thing I would take away from this conversation is life is very simple. It's just about being truthful, and it's pretty much sorted itself. You don't have to force anything to happen. And one more thing, I got this mantra from a very I didn't think that he would be giving me mantra, but he said one thing he said is when you start thinking that you have control, when you stop thinking that you have control over life, is the
Yeah,
actual time when you start living life and things will eventually happen. You don't have to forcefully make things happen. It will eventually happen if it has to happen. And then you
yes,
just have to allow them to happen. And you don't have to be
right,
negative about, okay, is it happening? I really don't want it. But you should be accepting a lot of things that's happening.
yeah,
And then understand why they are happening and what I have to do from here, right? So
correct.
that way is very important as well. And that has made my life very easy, to be honest. That single advice.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
There was this
So,
um, there was a psychological experiment.
mhm,
It was very interesting. They took a classroom of little children, maybe, they'd be like about 10 years old. They
yeah.
divided them into two batches.
Mhm,
One batch was told, they did a test, they took a test, all of them, and then one batch was told, oh, you're intelligent, you're talented.
yeah.
And these are your, this is your ability. Look at how much you scored. You're amazing. The other
Mhm,
batch was told, you're hardworking, and
yeah.
because you're hardworking, you got good marks. Whereas the other one believed it's my talent, it's my secret ability, I am gifted, etc., etc. Okay,
Mhm,
and they were constantly fed that information and reinforced. That message was reinforced over weeks and months.
mhm, mhm.
A little while later, the talented ones, their grades started slipping.
Yeah,
Whereas the
yeah.
ones who were told you're hardworking and that's why you got it. So these kids were given a challenge. The people
Mhm,
who were hardworking, they were told that hey, you work really hard and it's your effort.
mhm,
Finish that challenge. Whereas the ones who were told, oh, you're talented or it's a secret skill that got you
mhm.
here, couldn't finish that test. So the
Yeah,
point is locus of control. That's what it's
yeah,
called. What
yeah.
is your center? If your locus of control is inside you, which
Mhm,
means what I can control, my hard work, my effort, then I can control my circumstances. I'll be always happy because no matter what the challenge is, I know I'll work hard and I'll, you
mhm.
know, get through it.
Yeah,
But if I believe if the locus of control is outside, where I think it's my
mhm.
secret ability or it's
Yeah,
money or the power that I have, all these things can go.
yeah.
So you can't be in control because the money will go or sudden one
Mhm.
day you're not just being skilled enough. There will always be somebody smarter than you, richer than
Yeah,
you, and that was
absolutely.
such a big experiment to
Yeah, yeah,
realize
yeah.
that you have control in how you deal with circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very important to understand because a lot of people nowadays believe in so many different things that they
Mm.
think would solve their problem, be it
Yeah.
anything, right? I really don't want to name it. Okay, absolutely. So let's go deeper in this. What do you think about dreams? It's very
Dream.
abstract, you know.
Uh, the Koreans believe that dreams are actually things that are going to happen in your life. So if they have a
Mhm,
dream where they get cancer or something,
mhm,
uh, then they really, really believe that this is what is going to happen to me now.
mhm.
For me, I have the weirdest dreams. 2 days ago, I had stomach cancer
Mhm.
because I had spicy food.
Mhm.
A few days ago, I saw that I had superpowers and I could fly.
Yeah.
So I have these like extremely animated dreams ever since I was little because I have this crazy imagination and I keep thinking about things. Um, for me, I think dreams are truly just your brain processing information.
Mhm.
Everything that you consume consciously, subconsciously, your brain's just sort of mixing together, trying to process it. Like you have a samosa and a vada pav,
Mhm.
and all of that goes into your tummy and mixes together.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
so my dreams are often as I see are just tiny bits of things, thoda sa idhar se, thoda sa udhar se, and all
Mhm.
mixed together into one random story.
Mhm.
And for me, that's just it. I try not take my dreams too seriously because, oh my God, were you asking about sleep dreams anyway, or did you mean like dreams and ambition in life? Did I just
Eh,
totally answer
Sleep
in the
dream.
wrong
I was talking about sleep dream. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't take it seriously. For me, it's fun. It's entertainment. It's like watching Netflix when I'm sleeping.
It's your brain telling you a story. Is
Right,
it?
that's it. That's it. I try and not take it seriously because I see all kinds of like really
Mhm.
messed up things. So
Mhm.
it's best for me psychologically to not take it seriously. What about you?
I have a very different feeling to it. Maybe it's kind of dream is something that is happening or that is telling you something like that. So
Yeah.
I have a very different context to it. So that's a conversation for another day. Okay. Okay. So let me go back, and this whole conversation was happening about content, right? So
Right.
if you would go back, right, and you have one kid who is just out of college, he just finished his graduation. Now he has a very specific thing. He needs to do content. He needs to just be a content writer or maybe a
Yeah.
content podcaster, anything. What
Right.
would you suggest or what would you say that, hey, don't do this. I did this very wrong and this thing is very shit. And you should be doing this way, but this is not definitely a part of success kind of thing. What would you do?
I definitely say don't be scared of experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be scared of experimenting right from the start. Read a lot of books. As a
Mm-hmm.
content person, you have to read. Videos won't do it. Especially now because earlier at least the old movies like Pride and Prejudice and all had uh, proper English. Now we don't. Now all our
Yeah.
movies are all about uh, well, a load of crap.
Yeah.
So the language, the quality of languages, you're not really learning a lot when you're watching English movies anymore. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe British movies a little bit still, but US movies are not
Yeah.
there for language.
Mm.
So read if you want to be a content person.
Yeah.
That helps you develop your voice as well because different authors write in different ways and it really gets you thinking. That's another way I could put things. So it's
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah.
Second thing is don't be scared of experimenting with content. The weirdest things work. Like some campaigns that I've done, I've worked for Fanta, I've done campaigns for
Mm.
Sprite. I've also done one for Ford. Um, all of them had we would put together a bunch of taglines, good ones, bad ones, horrible ones, and
Yeah.
sometimes the horrible ones would hit the
Yeah.
bullseye.
Just
So
like
you
fog,
never know what works.
just like fog have a
Just like fog.
tagline. That's
Oh
the weirdest,
God, I can't.
weirdest of the.
And I can't. My family won't stop. You can't ask anyone क्या चल रहा है because everyone has to just say fog चल रहा है, and I'm like, oh, that just stuck. It
Yeah.
really stuck. So yeah,
Yeah.
the weirdest things work. So just
Yeah.
experiment. Don't be shy of experimenting.
Mhm.
Don't compromise on your values and your ethics for a job, and don't be afraid of working hard. At least in the beginning of your career, you will have to bust your butt, really
Mhm.
work late hours,
Mhm.
but only as long as you have the passion for it.
Yeah.
Passion is so important.
And once your
Yeah.
maybe hollowness takes over that passion, you should stop, or you're you're busting out
Exactly.
of.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to find another role, be ready to move on always in life.
Hmm.
And because, especially for creative, I don't know how it works in technical roles,
Hmm.
but for creative roles, you genuinely cannot work.
Yeah.
Uh, if
Yeah.
you're sad or upset, or if you're not happy about something, your creativity gets affected. So if it's a toxic place, then you really can't put out good work. It's as simple as that.
Okay. So I have a very interesting example to this. So I have this friend. She just graduated.
Uh-huh.
She just graduated last year or second last year. I don't remember. But after she graduated, right? She came up from Mumbai to Delhi to just
Yeah,
get this content. She is an AD in an ad company. She was
sure,
doing work
sure.
there. The workplace become started becoming toxic.
Yeah,
So she was not ready to take up more shit there. Now what happened is one thing that is associated with for creative field is that you don't get paid enough what you do, right? And that's the reality. That's how that happens in India. And she was coming from Mumbai, right? And she needed to. Delhi is so bad for women. She needed to stay in a safer place in Delhi. So Vasant Kunj was here where she was staying. And then
yeah,
Vasant Kunj, you have to pay a bigger rent, right? So
yeah,
once you are
yeah.
paid up rent, once you are paid up with your food, you don't have anything to just carry forward
Left.
the next month. Yeah. So that was her problem. Her workplace was toxic. She was not getting paid enough. And then she had to move on. And it literally took 6 months for her to move out. And so
Wow.
and then also she is not getting a lot more paid, right? And that is a story of a lot of creative people out there right now,
Yes,
and
yes.
in industry in general. Why do you think people who are putting in so much, right, for any creative process is just not something that works from 9 to 6, 9 to 5, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it goes on. You live with it. You can think of it
yeah.
maybe while you're sleeping, whenever, right? Even after consuming your whole day or whole year with that job, even you're not still paid. Why do you think that happens
Hmm.
with the creative field in industry in India specifically? People aren't ready to pay
India,
or not
yeah, people
respected
aren't.
as well.
India's a very, they're not. India is a very quantity over quality country.
Mm.
We don't care for quality. If I can get a content writer for 20,000 bucks
Yeah.
and get that person to create content, even if it's not very good quality, most brands think काम चल जाएगा. It's a very चल
Mm.
जाएगा attitude in our country. We don't want to pay for quality. Like there might be somebody else who's way more experienced, way more talented or skilled writer, or might be
Mm.
senior and might charge maybe double that amount,
Yeah.
then brands don't want to pay that much just because it's a good writer. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they'd still think, "Nahi, yeah, I'll just
I
take a
agree.
junior person on and train the person for 2 months.
Yeah.
That person will learn the job, right? Why
Yeah.
do I pay for quality? Nobody wants to. That's just, I don't know if it's a practice that's prevalent outside, but for
Mm.
India, 100%. It's a very quantity over
Brilliant.
quality. Yeah, and that's why I think, and there are so many technical positions, at least you have to do a degree, like a proper degree for 4 years, let's say in engineering or whatever. With technical, everyone can write to an extent, or everyone thinks they can write,
Mhm.
right? I know also run another page on the side because they also are good writers. So
Yeah.
there's a large pool of candidates, and it's very difficult to filter that down to the really, really good ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Agreed.
so I think people just go for the cheaper option. Who wants to put all that trouble? Everyone's a writer, so I might as well hire a cheap one.
My journey also started with a
Sadly, yeah.
content writing job that I was not paid for. That was an internship, and they
Oh,
were. I really
yeah.
so what they told me about writing is you have to write things that goes viral, and that was my job, and that's where it sucked, right? because content writing was the easiest way to get an internship, even if it was unpaid.
Yeah.
And they were not teaching
Yeah.
you content; they were just telling you, just create content that goes viral. And I'll tell you what was the most
Yeah.
viewed article of mine. It was about what was it? Coldplay coming to India. Sachin Tendulkar was there in Mumbai Stadium, right? I said Sachin Tendulkar forced Coldplay to sing Jai Jan Gan Man, and it has 10,000 views. My article, and that article was just a picture of Sachin Tendulkar and whatever Coldplay.
Wow. Yeah.
Two sentences, one more picture, one sentence, and that's it. That was my article, and it was 10,000 views, and that was content writing here in India. That is the face of content writing here in India.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I I completely resonate that thing. It's horrible. India is a place very you will find very difficult workplaces. I mean, very you will rarely find some great workplaces here where you can just learn your craft,
Yeah.
right? And that's about it.
Correct.
Awesome. So it's been a long time. Let's get to the end. You are a musician, right? You write song, you read or you sing songs, you play instruments, and I have seen you perform Hallelujah. That was a lovely song, whatever
Thank you.
performance. Yeah. You sent me a version
Thank
of
you.
that was I don't remember the song, but it was the loveliest uh, us human has sing
Thank
on a
you
voice note. So
so much.
what is music for you? I mean, does it heal you? How does it makes you feel like?
Makes me feel alive.
Mhm.
That's truly it. In a world where um, so many things are out of control,
Yeah.
it's the one thing that I have. It's I carry music within me. I don't need an
Mhm.
instrument. There are
Mhm.
nights when I'm really anxious and I can't sleep.
Mhm.
And pathetically enough, I hum myself to sleep. I start humming, whatever, some slow song, and
Yeah.
makes me fall asleep.
Mhm.
And it's helped me heal. It's helped feed my dog, who's really sick, my first dog. His kidneys were failing,
Mhm.
and he'd get seizures towards the end. I'd sing to him, and that would calm him down. And so when we were putting him down and we really had to, we had no option, I was singing that song to him. And yeah, that calmed him down. That was my goodbye to him. So I guess that's music to me. I think it's just something that I carry within me. Um, that's extremely powerful.
Mhm.
It's my magic. I think it's the magic that I have with me. That's music to me.
And music must be giving you that gratification that even if you don't have anything tomorrow, you still have that music that is there, and you won't lose it. And yeah.
Hopefully not. If I keep practicing. If you don't practice,
But
your
yeah,
singing skills go down. So I try and get.
music is not
But
about
yeah, that's music very special.
mhm. So you won't be performing for a audience, right? You don't want audience to be. If it makes you happy, eventually the audience you are singing for would also be very pleased with whatever you are doing, right? So that is one thing that comes. If it comes from your heart, people will eventually like it because they will relate to it. And yeah, I mean, music has so many things, right? You have so many stories that surrounds. Even what was the first thing you hear, or what was the last thing you hear? If you are on a deathbed, there will be Ram Ram, whatever. So that's also music, right? That's also
Yeah,
chanting about. And once you come, just I mean, music is something that subconsciously tells you that okay, that hits your vibration or mind, and it says it keeps in that mode.
exactly.
That
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
Okay.
said it. Are you a musician secretly by any chance?
No,
Because
no,
you
no.
just said it.
I hate it. I got this harmonica. I took a course on Udemy, and now I I don't know. I cannot
Yeah.
I cannot do it. I cannot. What is the one awakening moment, and then we'll close off this. What is the one moment that simply changed your perception about life?
Ooh, interesting. Wow. If I knew these deep questions would come, I would have like done some prep. Now let me think about it. This is it's a tricky one. Um, wow, there's just been so many. Uh, I think one moment that certainly changed my life was was losing my dog. I think
Mm,
he
mm,
was family. He was my first selfless love,
mm,
and it changed my life because I realized how strong I was. I totally shattered. Um, I was really crazy. Like I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't bathing. I was just walking around all day talking to myself. I really, really lost the plot for a bit. But at the end of it, it made me realize that I had this tremendous capacity to love. That's what I told myself. That it
mm,
hurts because I loved.
yeah.
And when you love, you really make yourself vulnerable. You put yourself out there. Anybody you love could hurt you.
Mm,
And but it's worth it. You know, it's the risk that you take and you live for the moment. I mean, as long as that love lasts, as long as that person's with you just love them and hope that they stay around forever. And that love could be for anything. Could be family, could be friends, could be your passion.
yeah.
So I guess that's it. Just loving. It taught me to love with no regrets and to love.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Taking the leap of faith and saying, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable and see what happens.
exactly. And it's a
That's
big
a
one.
great
It's tough.
that's a great thought to close on. I mean, everyone can have this practice. Maybe just once in a while, just take a leap of faith and say, let's see what happens from now on. Faith. Okay. So do you just let's close it off and do you want to sing something and close this off?
Oh no,
And
I'm not singing at all. No way. I am so self-critical. If this video goes up anyway, I'm gonna be scrolling right to the end and scrutinizing how I left that one note. But I put regular videos on my Instagram from time to time. Can
Mhm,
I leave a little request? My sister literally threatened me. She was
mhm,
like, this is the first time you're doing, an interview of any sort,
mhm,
and she runs this Instagram page. It's called Sisters on a Budget,
mhm,
where we try budget foods from different restaurants. It's about hacking restaurants and how to live cheap.
mhm.
You can eat at a five-star restaurant by with following certain hacks, etc., etc. And she
Yeah.
just said to give me a shout out. So,
Yeah.
Sisters on a Budget, Instagram. Don't kill me, Shruti. I did what you asked me
Yeah,
to. I'd
yeah,
like to close on that note.
yeah. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So I'll just put a link whenever it's going out. I have to teach myself now how to edit videos now, and then only it will go out. Or I'll just put this
Well,
out.
but yeah, this was a long interview, but I didn't even realize. Time really just passed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been such an enjoyable conversation. Thank you. And they were such great questions. Really a great start to my day, I have to say.
It was a lovely conversation. I really didn't prepare anything that what would I ask. It just went on, and the flow of conversation was magical. And let's see how it goes. Yeah, it was an awesome day, and the I waking up
Thank
7:30 just finally paid off. Thank you so much, Lakshmi.
you. Oh God, thank you so much. I'm really